moment. You have to remember that even a private home, if it had been attacked by the British, you could apply for compensation for your loss, but you had to prove that somehow your property was used for a military purpose. So that meant that the militia might have used it as a mustering place or something like that. If you could not prove that, you would not get compensated. So there's many, many people who had their homes burnt, their plantations burnt, all of their crops taken, sheep, cattle, pigs, whatever, taken, and never got any compensation because it was not related to any military action. Another thing that's kind of interesting to keep in mind is that let's assume that you're a property owner and the British are coming down the road. What are you going to do? If you go and grab your musket and you try to fire at the British, what's going to happen? The British are going to come in and completely burn everything that you own. If, on the other hand, you stay in your house and you cooperate with them and you allow the British to take anything that they want, they will not harm your property, but they probably would offer to compensate you for what they think the value of the property that they took. So let's say, for example, they took a horse. Well, they may decide that the value of that horse is $20, and that's what they'll pay you. Now, that doesn't mean that that's the fair compensation. Usually it's less than what they actually take. But let's say, on the other hand, that you evacuated your home, and you even attempted to take furniture and maybe even some of your livestock. When they saw that, they used that as a reason to attack and plunder your place. Now let's say that you did cooperate with the enemy. Let's say that you did sell a horse or you sold wheat or whatever. What did your neighbors think about you for doing that?
Right.
What I'm trying to point out to you is that you could not win. No matter what you did, you could not win. And there's a great example of a fellow over at Sharp's Island. His name was Gibson. And he was raided by the British 3 different times. And he got fed up with it. He was tired of getting raided. So the next time the British came in, he cooperated. He said, let me know what you want, you can have it. And they paid him. They paid him money for it. Well, then his neighbors all thought that he was a traitor. So to try to get back with his neighbors, what he decided to do was to buy 2 cannon and give them to St. Michael's, which is over on the eastern shore, to be used in the defense of that town against the British. And those 2 cannons were then confiscated by the Union during the American Civil War. And so then they built 2 replicas, and those cannons are now over at St. Michael's. And it's all about the story of plundering, raiding on Sharp's Island, where this guy then made a tribute to the town. And so now we have these 2, I guess you could call them replica cannons, that are kind of a memory of those kinds of events that went on.